Hello guys, this is Donald's Movies, and welcome to the last in the series of the race guides, the Hunter role-playing guide. Now, out of all of these races I have covered by now, I said that the warriors and the rogues, that they're an open book, but with the hunters, the paths you can choose are endless, and in this video I'm just going to stick to the most basic ones and give you general tips on how you can up your roleplay and also improve your hunter roleplay. So, without further ado, let's just get into the guide. When I personally think of a hunter, the first thing that comes to my mind is a person that spends a lot of time in the wilderness, is accustomed to the wild, and is very good at tracking down and killing animals. But this is just the most basic archetype because the game and the gameplay elements, they're just so different from the lore, and the word hunter is quite an undefined word. A hunter can really be anyone from a rifleman to a beastmaster to a ranger to a big game hunter, and all of them actually completely make sense in the lore and are completely like legit classes. So this really just gives you completely open hands to further define your character, and since I can't really cover all of the subclasses in this video, I'm going to break it down just a bit. Now, when it comes to the bare bones of the hunter class, you have the hunter and the rifleman. Now, the most basic hunter is just someone who has that connection to the nature or just the general wilderness and can find his way around the wilds, while a rifleman in most cases is a soldier who, even though he might lack the connection to the nature, he could be, for example, very good at camouflage or using a rifle or being a sniper and all that. How you're going to roleplay this class really depends on your race and your backstory, but generally every race has a hunter one way or the other. I mean, it's how they get their food and how they actually survive. Like, there would be like no society without the hunters. Most orcs or the Tauren, for example, they are hunters, even if they're like druids or shamans or warriors or whatever. All of them are kind of taught in their society to be hunters. But there is quite a big difference between just hunting for food and hunting as a lifestyle. Now, your lifestyle is also dependent on your race. Like, you could just be a human that can get around the forest and just kills like animals mindlessly. He doesn't care for the nature or like the spirit of those animals. It's all about the trophies and the big game and just getting those achievements. Or you could be like a Tauren who sees hunting as a sacred thing. They believe in the spirit of the animals and they appreciate the sacrifice of the same animals. So it's really up to you to decide your connection to the nature. I mean, sure, there are some like racial guidelines, as I mentioned. I mean, you won't really see like a Tauren big game hunter often, while seeing something like a goblin or a dwarf or a human in that role would kind of be a different case. On the other hand, if you do decide to go for the other route, aka the rifleman, some things can be quite different. I mean, you can still have your connection to the nature, but the nature doesn't even have to be involved whatsoever. I mean, as a rifleman you can just be a soldier, just like a warrior can be a soldier. A hunter can also be like a soldier just with a rifle, and even in that role you could choose to be like a sniper assassin or just like a general long distance support, and there are just like many different things you can do. The most well-known rifleman race are the dwarves, as they're known to love gunpowder, guns and just fighting in general, and we have seen quite a few of them in Warcraft 3, so that would be kind of a good race if you are playing Alliance. However, a rifleman doesn't always have to use a gun. You can also choose the path of a ranger. In the Blood Elf Society, for example, the rangers, they're a very elite group of fighters who employ tactics, camouflage, stealth, and just general guerrilla combat. And they also use a bow and arrows, which gives them the surprise factor and, of course, the silent attacks. When it comes to the Alliance side, the most prominent archers would definitely be the Night Elves. The Night Elves have a long tradition of ranged warriors. I mean, even Tyrande is a priestess of Elune. She uses a bow. The Night Elves also have a great connection to the nature and the knowledge, so it definitely helps them get around all those forests and all the areas they live in. So once you decide on which race you want to choose and what type of a hunter you want to be, do you want to be a rifleman or just like a general hunter, you need to decide on your personality, which obviously plays a huge factor in roleplay. The most stereotypical hunter is like a lone wolf, someone who has great communication with the elements but isn't really that much of a talker when it comes to his own kin. A good example of this stereotype would be Rexar, but of course, I mean, you don't really have to be a lone wolf. You can always be that outgoing person or someone who constantly brags about his prey, but in most hunters' life in general there is an element of solitude. And lastly, one of the most important parts, if not the most important in some cases, and that is your pet. It is your choice if you really want to use a pet. For example, if you're a ranger, you don't really need one. But if you do decide to go with a pet, or even like multiple pets, if you're trying to go for like a beastmaster or something, you should just think of how important they really are to you. Some hunters, they only use pets as tools, while other hunters have a very deep connection with their pets, and you don't really consider their pets like their pets. They see them more as companions and just partners, and they spend quite a long time in the wilds. I mean, Rexar, as I mentioned him earlier, is this type, and he often mentions how he trusts beasts more than the so-called intelligent races and all their cities and their constant war.
No, they cannot be trusted. Only beasts are above deceit.
Alright, it is all here for this video and this series. Now, a lot of people have been asking if I'm going to continue this RP stuff, and the answer is yes. I'm going to make more guides on the subclasses or possible like roleplay tip videos in the future, as I already did some of that, but feel free to suggest whatever you would like to see, especially roleplay wise or lore wise, because I do take everything into consideration. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not subscribed already, as it really helps out the channel and keeps all these videos going. And thanks a lot for taking time out of the day to watch this video, and see you next time.